And that's what understanding is, both in a large language model and in a person. In that sense, we understand in the same basic way they understand. It's not that when we understand, there's some magical internal stuff called understanding. I'm always trying to get rid of magical internal stuff in order to explain how things work. We're able, using our big neural networks, to associate features with these symbols in such a way that the features all fit together nicely. So here's an analogy I quite like. If you want to model 3D shapes, and you're not too worried about getting the surface just right, you can use Lego blocks. So they're big shapes, like a car. You can make something the same shape as a Porsche with Lego blocks. The surface won't be right, but it'll have the same space occupancy.
Sure.
So Lego blocks are a kind of universal way of modeling 3D structures. And you don't need many different kinds of Lego block. Now, think of words as like Lego blocks, except that there's a whole bunch of different Lego blocks with different names. What's more, each Lego block has some flexibility to it. It's not a rigid shape like a piece of Lego. It can change in various directions. It's not completely free. The name tells you something about how it can change.
Okay.
But there's some flexibility to it. And sometimes there'll be a name and it's two completely different shapes it can have. But it can't have any old shape. So what we've invented is a system for modeling much more complicated things than the 3D distribution of matter, which uses high-dimensional Lego blocks. So the Lego blocks with, say, 1,000 dimensions. And if you're a mathematician, you know 1,000-dimensional spaces are very weird things. And they have some flexibility. And I give you the names of some of these Lego blocks, and each of which is this 1,000-dimensional underlying.
Sure.
And they all deform to fit together nicely. And that's understanding. So that explains how you can learn the meaning of a word from one sentence without any definitions. So if, for example, I say, she scrommed him with the frying pan, you have a sense of what scrommed means. It's partly phonetic, but because the ed on the end tells you it's a verb. But you think it probably means she hit him over the head with it or something like that. It could mean something different. She could have impressed him with it. You know, she cooked such good omelettes that really impressed him. It could mean she impressed him. But probably it means she hit him over the head or something like that, something aggressive like that. And you get that from just one sentence. And nobody's telling you this is a definition of scrommed. It's just that all the other Lego blocks for the other words, she and him, and all those other words, adopt shapes that fit together nicely, leaving a hole. And that hole is the shape you need for scrommed. So now that's giving you the shape that scrommed should be. So that's how I think of language. It's a modeling system we've invented where there's some flexibility in each of these blocks. I give you a bunch of blocks and you have to figure out how to fit them together. But because they all have names, I can tell other people about what my model is. I can give them the names. And if they share enough knowledge with me, they can then figure out how they all fit together.